So the 76ers get their first victory without the reigning MVP, without Joel Embiid, and it came against the Orlando Magic. And we're going to react to that game. But before we get started, please make sure you hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's get this started. So the first noticeable thing was Maxi came out and he was being aggressive from the start. If you would remember, he had a terrible shooting night against the Miami Heat, and it was just not his night. I mean, he got a shot to drop like way late into the game, and it was kind of like, oh, you're gonna drop finally when I needed you to drop early in the game. You was not dropping, but it was just a terrible shooting night for him. But he came in this game in particular, and he made his mind up that he wasn't going to be passive. He was going to attack. He was going to be aggressive and try to get his team going. And he was doing that, but he did get into foul trouble in the first quarter. He picked up two quick fouls, and he had to sit down for a minute. And within that stretch, Tobias Harris stepped up for the Sixers, and he was really doing his thing. Now, I need to show Tobias some love because if he struggled tonight, I probably would have bashed him. But I mean, he's been playing. He's been playing very, very good. These past three games, he's had a solid game. Now, even though we lost to the Miami Heat, he was still aggressive. He helped us go on that 21-3 run against the Miami Heat in the third quarter, and made it a game in the fourth. But ultimately, the Miami Heat did pull up and they won the game. But Tobias was still doing his thing. He had like 27 points against the Miami Heat, and tonight he was 22-7-2, 22.7 rebounds and 2 assists, which was great. Now they run a lot of action for Tobias around the mid range area where he looks to take advantage of mismatches in the post, and he did that tonight, and he was really taking advantage of Cole Anthony in the post because Cole Anthony's like what 6'2", 6'3", guarding Tobias, who's about 6'8", 6'9", and it was just cash money for him. Now the only thing bad about this game was that Kelly Oubre was not really he didn't really get it going scoring wise. He was 1 of 7 from the field. He didn't have his great scoring game. Now against the Miami Heat, he helped us. He dropped like 25 in that game, but this was not his night. But I appreciated him, playing some great defense, especially on Franz Wagner and on Paolo Banchero. Now we were able to hold Paolo Banchero in check. He was like 8 of 20 from the field. We had him in check, but it was Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner who was going off for the Orlando Magic. Now, overall, the Sixers had a good defensive strategy, and they were able to hold the Orlando Magic to 90 points. They had 89, but they did get some garbage buckets at the end, which didn't really matter to me. The game was already over at that point, and but they were still below 100 points. And in my opinion, if you're able to hold a team below 100 points, your defense was on point because teams score like 105 on average, and if you're able to hold a team below 100 points, I think you did a solid job. But the Sixers were able to hang in with the Orlando Magic, and in the second quarter, Maxi came in and he was still being aggressive, but the Orlando Magic made a decision and they decided to double team him almost every time. They're putting two on the ball, they were trapping him, they were blitzing him, trying to get the ball out of his hands, but he was so intelligent, and Nick Nurse was much too clever and much too dedicated. He was running a lot of off-ball actions for Maxi. A lot of pin downs, a lot of he was coming off. He was doing a lot of Iverson cuts, coming off of curls and catching and shooting, and catching and attacking off of his movements, and he was getting to the basket and getting some layups up and down. There was a play he got the ball up in the air, and he kissed it so good off the glass, and it just dropped in. It could have easily been an N1, but they didn't give him that call. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Maxi doesn't really get a lot of calls, and he really finishes through tough defenses sometimes. And there's always contact. There's always like two or three guys around him when he finishes, but for whatever reason, he doesn't really get the benefit of the whistle. I don't know why. And the overall officiating in this game was just terrible, and I made a decision not to speak on the officiating because I don't want to be the one to come over here and always complain about it. But it was just terrible on both sides, not just for the Sixers. On both sides, it was terrible. I mean, Patrick Beverly gets a technical for flopping when when Wagner was clearly extending that off arm, trying to like get him off of him, and the referees was just right there. They don't call it, but they call a flop on Patrick Beverly. And there's another play, Patrick Beverly, where he did a step back and did a pump fake and got the defender in the air, and he jumped into him, and they gave him free throws off of it. Now, me personally, I don't think that was a foul because I don't think it was a foul, but they gave him the free throw. So, and both sides, it was just terrible officiating. But the Sixers came out in the third quarter, and I need to show Marcus Morris Sr. a lot of love because he came off the bench and he was so great for the Sixers. He was not doing too many extras. He was just getting the ball, take a dribble or two, get into the paint or get into the mid range area, stop on a dime and just shoot. And he was giving us elite offense from that plays. And he didn't really score from the three, but he was being aggressive, attacking, and not settling for threes a lot. But he was living in that mid range area and he was getting his shots to fall. And that was so great for it was great for the Sixers. And like I said, Marcus Morris doesn't really give you anything defensively, but he does have something left in the tank in terms of offense. And if he's open, he can take the three. He can take you off the dribble and stop on a dime and shoot those mid range shots. And sometimes it's just cash money, but the question is, can you rely on it in the long run? And I don't think that's I wouldn't really rely on that for him to come into the game every single time and do that because sometimes you're gonna have off shooting nights, and if you have nights like that, could you help us defensively? Could you help us grab rebounds? Could you help us play defense, kind of like what Kelly Oubre did tonight? His shots was not falling, but he was very, very aggressive on defense. And having Paolo Banchero in check and guarding Jalen Suggs and guarding what you call it, Franz Wagner. I mean, there was a play. It was a give and go, and Paolo Banchero was at the basket, and Kelly Oubre was able to recover and block his shot. And once I saw that play, I was just like, that was just great recovery because a lot of players would have let Paolo Banchero get that easy 2 points, but it was great that Kelly Oubre didn't give up on the play, and he went back and hustled and got the block. So big shout out to him. But speaking of Marcus Morris, I don't think it's sustainable, but he's playing great offensively for us, and those huge 14 points off the bench were so huge for the Sixers because the Sixers usually don't have enough offense off of the bench. So him giving us 14 points, that was so huge. In addition to Patrick Beverly giving us 10 points. And Patrick Beverly he was good tonight. I mean, he was just getting steals and getting a lot of deflections and intercepting passes and wreaking havoc on the defensive end. And I mean, I think most of his steals initiated offense for us. And we had a bunch of runouts and we were just scoring before the Orlando Magic got their defense set. And the Sixers was really taking advantage of them. Now, the Orlando Magic is a young team, and I think in the next 2 to 3 years, or maybe in the next year or two, they'll definitely be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Because Paolo Banchero, when I look at him, I think he could be the next best player in the league because he's 6'10". He can take you off the dribble and get to the basket. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid range. He can also play defense and guard the rim. There's nothing this dude can't do. I think the only thing that he can't do is play make for his teammates, set them up for shots. But I mean, that's not his job. He's a power forward. But, other than, playmaking, he's pretty much good at everything else. So I think he has the potential of being the best player. But the Sixers came in and they did what they were supposed to do and getting this victory. In the fourth quarter, I was looking for Maxi to step up and, will us to the victory. But the Sixers' defense was really on point in the fourth quarter, and we didn't really need Maxi to to score. We had other players that was doing that, but Maxi was also helping on the defensive end. Maxi got, I think, a steal in the fourth quarter, and Patrick Beverly was so huge for us in the fourth too. I mean, the Sixers hold the Magic. They held the Magic to only 18 points in the fourth quarter, which was so great. It was so great. And with about 2 minutes left, I think DeAnthony Melton hit back-to-back three-pointers, and that was kind of like the dagger. And that ultimately won the game for the Sixers. Now, Melton was also great in this game. He had 22 points. Tobias had 22 points. Maxi finished the game with 23 points. That's good, but there's one issue I have with DeAnthony Melton, and that's um his layups. He's not one of the best finishers around the basket. And when he's going up to finish, it's easy to block his shot for whatever reason. I don't know why. It seems like he can't finish with his left hand. Because sometimes it's like you see the shot blocker like right behind you. So it's just easy for you to do it up and under and finish with your offhand. But he doesn't really have that in his bag. And he tends to get a shot block a lot. Now, he was efficient in this game because his three-pointers was falling, but I mean at the basket, his percentage at the basket is not that great. I could look it up, but I know it's not all that great because he really misses a lot of shot at the basket. And Tobias Harris as well too, but I'm not really gonna get at Tobias because he was pretty good for this team tonight. And he did what you would expect your third option to do when the best player is not around. He stepped up, gave you 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. I don't really have anything bad to say about him, but it was a good team win, good victory for the Sixers, especially without the big fella. And huge shout out to Paul Reed too. He didn't really get in foul trouble in this game. I mean, last game he had 4 fouls by the second quarter, but then tonight he finished the game with only four. I mean, he could have did better, but he did get some moving screen calls on him, which it was unfair. I mean, we all watch Draymond and watch Bam Adebayo, and they set like terrible screens, but they don't get those calls for whatever reason. But I mean, Paul Reed, um, 15 points, 10 rebounds. I'll take that. I'll take that. Double double. I mean, it didn't seem like he had a double double, but it was a solid game. And Mo Bamba was also solid. He came off the bench, and even though he didn't score, he gave you 7 rebounds, which proves that he was really hustling for you. And he was setting some good screens that got Maxi wide open off those pin downs and down screens that he was setting. And those were huge. You don't have to score to make an impact. You know, grabbing rebounds, setting screens. I mean, I know it doesn't really look appealing to the casual because you're not scoring. But I mean, if you do little things that help your team to win, I mean, I think that'd be huge, and that gives the coaches a lot of reasons why they should put you in the game. And I think if Mo Bamba can give Nick Nurse a reason why he should play him, I think he'll definitely get minutes. But the only bad thing with Mo Bamba is just his demeanor, his motor is just it's just low. But that's all I have for this game tonight. It was a great team win, and the Sixers are back in action on Friday. I think they have a back-to-back. They play the Chicago Bulls and the Houston Rockets Friday, Saturday. But that's all I have for you guys tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and leave your thoughts if you have any down below. And we'll get to it. Until next time, peace.